Alright, and we are back with the last of the top 5 favorite wrestlers. So this one actually is a first in a couple of ways. This is the first, talking about AEW on the hot tag. Period has all been, for the most part, WWE, a couple of WCW mixed in there. So first time I've talked about AEW at all. So, it's interesting, and it's really the first time I've even talked about it in length on stream. Just content-wise, period. I don't really talk too much about AEW. Not that I don't like it. I'm still in the feeling out process. I said I wanted to give it a year and a half. So basically giving it to the end of 2020 to see how I feel. COVID kind of messes it up some. Everything going on with the coronavirus, no live shows, but that's fine. That said, I wanted to take the time to sit down and come up with a top 5 list of the 5 wrestlers I enjoy most from this promotion. So I don't have as much content to go into because I haven't been around for as much, and I wanted to stay strictly with what they have done under the AEW umbrella, not reaching back to the past. So, if you noticed, when I made this list, the first thing I said is a wrestler can only pop up on a top 5 once. So let me just take the elephant out the room. Jericho's not on my list. The reason he's not on my list, even though I enjoy what he's doing with AEW, he's not on the list because what he did with the WWE is collectively, because I've had obviously more years, more content to evaluate of Jericho, collectively is greater than what he's done with AEW, even on the smaller side. So I wanted to recognize him for that WWE work. Could have even went the same with WCW, because I really like his work there as a mid-carder, as a cruiserweight, but I felt he needed to acknowledge Jericho and WWE, at least for me. I need to acknowledge him there. So with that said, I have my list of 5. So we talk about the honorable mention. I have 2 really tough ones, so I can tell you the last 2 that I crossed out before I even got to honorable mention. Pac, which sucks to me because I really, again, if I could reach back to some of the stuff he did with the WWE, it probably makes it a little easier. I've enjoyed what he's done with AEW, sorry. He's a badass. But he doesn't crack my top 5. And Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is close to. I try to stay away from tag teams because you could lump him in with his dinosaur, Luchasaurus. But I kind of opted to go the other way. I do enjoy the few times that he has wrestled outside of a tag team. So he didn't make the list, but I want to acknowledge singles action with him has been pretty solid. Trios as well. I can look at trios, just can't go specifically tag team. So that leaves 2 consolations. Britt Baker was one. She's my favorite female wrestler on the roster. Big fan of her work. I hope at some point she can have a decent / lengthy reign as the champ. I don't know if she'll get the Women's World Championship, but I'm hopeful that she does. I've always enjoyed her work before. Definitely enjoying it now. Love her character. And the other one is really, really tough. So again, this is with me just focusing on AEW. Is Kenny Omega. I acknowledge Omega as a top 3 wrestler in the world, in my opinion, today. If I'm drafting, I'm taking in mine. The issue with this is me. There's another wrestler that got left off the list altogether. You'll know who it is when I go through, and I'm sure someone in the comments will be surprised why. I can tell you I am not a big fan of hardcore wrestling, so anything that goes down the hardcore road is going to probably be ignored by me because it just does not appeal to me. So while you won't see me make a ECW list, it's just not my style of wrestling. It doesn't interest me, doesn't entertain me, so I tend to stay away from that. His feud with Moxley, it's really hard for me to stomach watching some of the stuff that I saw in that. It just doesn't appeal to me. And he's a tag champion now, so again, that kind of takes a little bit away because I don't like focusing on guys as tag champions. I like focusing on them as single wrestlers. This is going to sound very hypocritical coming down the road, but I just I can't fully, and with what Omega has done with AEW so far, he has been able to be in a situation enough where I can look at him as a singles wrestler with content that I'm okay with and watch. So that's why he's not in my top 5. Again, I acknowledge he's a top 3 wrestler in the world, no doubt. That said, now we move on to the list. Number 5 is Orange Cassidy, and already people are like, man, what the hell you put Orange Cassidy on your list before you put Kenny Omega? Character-wise, he's super entertaining. I have never seen a moment where he's been on AEW where I was not completely fixed on what he's doing, whether he's in the ring or whether he's outside the ring. He's always got my eye. I'm looking forward to see what he does more in the future. He hasn't really had a lot of action in singles, but the match he had with Pac, even though he lost, very, very good showing, very entertaining to watch, and hopefully there's more to come with them. Number 4, Darby Allin. So if you notice anything from my list, you can start to pull a couple of guys, a Malenko, a Gargano, a Balor, depending on how you view HBK and Daniel Bryan, especially HBK given his relative era. I have an affinity for smaller guys because I feel like I can relate to them and they have an uphill battle, and I really like his character. He is an AEW version of a Daniel Bryan, of a Johnny Gargano, of a young TV champ Booker T. Like, he's a guy that the crowd gets behind and they're going to root for him. Doesn't always win, but they're always going to root for him. I can't imagine what he would ever look like as a heel. He's had some really entertaining matches so far. I obviously knew he was going to lose to Jericho, but just the way the match played out, how he hung in the ring with him, I was very impressed. He's looked good in the matches I've seen him in so far. I haven't been able to see as much of him outside of AEW, so I don't really have the big, grand scope. I understand, and I've seen a couple of things, but I really just have been able to focus on what he's doing in AEW, and I really love his work so far, so fingers crossed to bigger and better at some point. Enjoying it so far. Number 3. I just literally talked about not buying into Omega right now in AEW because of the feud with Moxley and because of the tag team championship. So then number 3, of course, because I'm so hypocritical, would be his tag team partner, Mr. Page. Look, I've seen enough of him in singles and I'm happy. Remember how it all started. The very first match for the championship was Page against Jericho. I love how he hung in with him, and you could see Jericho had to win. I'm thinking as a wrestling promoter going in, Jericho had to win because he is the biggest draw in this company name-wise. More than Cody, more than Dustin. He's the guy. He has to win the title because if we're going to be on TV, it gives our brand legitimacy out the gate. So I understood that Page had to lose. I think Page has a heavyweight championship reign, a world championship reign coming in his future. He is really smooth in the ring. Face heel, I don't care. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him down the road. Once this tag team breaks up, a feud with him and Omega, oh my god, that would be so great. Don't even care who goes over, but at some point, like I said, Page, yes, ascending that way. I'm liking it. A little bit easier with this top 2. Number 1 is probably going to be really obvious once I tell you who number 2 is. Number 2, the best heel in AEW, MJF. And the fact that he's so young, he eventually is probably going to be number 1 for me. He definitely, in the future, is going to be a champion. He is the best heel that they have on that roster. No offense to the inner circle, it is him. He's got everything. He's got the look. He is great on the microphone, whether it's talking trash to Cody, getting under the skin of the fans, getting under the skin of Jericho when you have a heel interaction. he just makes it work. And he's obviously not a bad wrestler in the ring. He is going to be someone that benefits greatly from being in AEW. So I feel like if he was in another, I guess I'm talking WWE, but just thinking broadly in other promotions, I feel like he would be left out. Kind of like Austin Theory. Theory, great and evolved. He's been the champ for a while. But then he comes to NXT, and I feel like it's not even that there's a glass ceiling, it's just that there's this group of wrestlers that it's just hard to break into that because they're so locked in at that position. It's hard to get through no matter how great you are. It's almost like you have to wait your turn, and it's hard in wrestling to wait your turn because you need the opportunity to shine, otherwise people forget about you. It's hard to have a guy like kind of get kicked on the back burner and then bring them back. Most fans forget, and you don't get that reaction, thus you get ignored, and your run ends up being short. He'll benefit from AEW. He's someone that they should be pushing in for the future. Very strongly believe in him. You should too. And number one, someone else I think that's going to benefit in AEW. I'm curious of what he would be like as a face, because I haven't seen him as a face. One member of the Inner Circle, the Spanish God, Sammy G. Entertaining on the mic. If you saw the match with him and Darby in the TNT champ tournament, good match. Like even the thing about the very first match that you saw in AEW, the first match on TNT was him against Cody. Who cares that Cody won? Great match. I mean, Cody was going to win it. Recognizable face winning, but at the same time putting over a younger talent that maybe the crowd's unfamiliar with. He's going to benefit greatly from the Inner Circle being under Jericho, whether that means eventually he goes over him in a feud, leaving, or putting Jericho out for that matter and running the Inner Circle. He's going to benefit greatly from that route. So he may not always be in singles. He may be kind of have to take the fall for stuff, so Jericho doesn't always eat the L. But he's got a good match. I love his ring work. We'll leave the look alone, so I don't want to get too much into that. I'm just not. I really don't want to get into that. But just the fact, if you remember that promo that Jericho cut early on with the Inner Circle starting, Spanish God, the whole thing. Like he's really taken that character and made it his own thing on social media. The way he walks out to the ring, the way he interacts with the audience, with the camera, does good work. This was a tough one though to go between 1 and 2 because when I first thought of this list, I wanted to take a night to lay down and sleep. I wasn't sure that I should have had Sammy number 1. I really thought I should have had MJF because I think he's the better heel and I think he has the higher ceiling. And I've enjoyed what he's done much more, I feel, on a grander scale when what it's going to lead to. But Sammy just has more appeal, slightly for the moment, even though I have a bigger body of work to look at with MJF. It was a close one. We were just going to say that. It was a close one. So I'm sure you guys are upset Moxley wasn't on the list. That was the guy I was referring to if you didn't know. So yeah, no Moxley on the list. Like I said, hardcore just isn't my appeal. I know he's the current champ. I'm happy for him. But some of the things he's had in matches I just can't get with. That said, other than Moxley, and probably other than Jericho, because I didn't want to cheat and have him on multiple, because arguably I could have had him on all 3. Who do you agree with? Who do you not agree with? Who should have been added? And is there someone that you think is being overlooked? Let me know in the comments below. Talk about it in stream as well. Thanks for watching. This is the end of the top 5. Maybe we'll come up with some other stuff. Top 5 tags. Just kind of go all brand instead of do each brand. Give me some ideas and we'll see what we can come up with. These have been pretty fun so far. Really interesting debate, between me and my friends, and then how I'm able to process lists and put it together. That said, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.